Hey everybody, Jason here. Today we're going to do a review on my Kyosho SC6 short course truck. I've had a lot of questions about this truck and I'm not exactly sure why, but my guess is probably because it's so expensive. A lot of people want to get opinions on the vehicle before they go out and spend their money, and I can respect that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a quick unboxing video that I did so you can see exactly what you get in the box, and then we'll talk about the build. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the unboxing video and then we'll talk about the build.
Okay, let's see what you get when you order up an SC6. I got my trusty pocket knife right here, and we're going to slide this thing out of here and see what we get. So, looks like it's got a factory seal on it. So we'll crack these open real quick. And it looks like that's about all she wrote. Okay, so we've got the manual. Looks like there's a catalog in the antenna tube. Ditch that. And then, you know, it's really nice how Kyosho kind of puts the part numbers on the actual bags and stuff like that. It just makes it a little bit easier to follow. I built other Kyosho products in the past, and their builds aren't exactly the best. They aren't always organized the exact best, but the parts quality is just absolutely amazing. So you can see here it looks like we've got shock towers, bulkheads, transmission case. Here we've got A-arms, ball cups, turnbuckles, things like that. Here are the actual shocks, and I have to tell you, out of all the 10-scale vehicles I've ever assembled, the shocks in the Kyosho are by far the most impressive. So, and it looks like, you know, somebody's right. These shocks, I don't know how well the camera will show this, or will or won't show this, but there's actually bleeder holes in the caps, and that's kind of uncommon for Kyosho shocks. Normally they bleed from the bottom. CVAs or dog bones or whatever you want to call them, universals, and they come pre-assembled. That's always nice. Just one less step that has to be done in order to get the truck running and going. Looks like you've got the motor plate, bearings, all that stuff, some grease. This must be the rear motor transmission case because it's only got the 3 gears. Side guards, battery foam, battery brace, stuff that goes on the middle of the chassis. This is a big bag here, all the bumpers and stuff like that. Bumpers, body mounts, some hardware, skid plates. Here we have the, oh wow, this thing does come with the aluminum steering rack. Dude, Kyosho, that is freaking awesome. Super stoked about that. Check it out. The aluminum steering pieces are already in the bag. So you can see the plastic ones here on the tree, but the aluminum ones are here. Dude, winning. That's awesome. I'm stoked about that. That stuff was like 60 bucks for my RB6. And last but not least, the Kyosho SC6 aluminum chassis. Looks like an RB6 chassis, just a bunch longer. All right, there it is. That's what you get when you crack the box open. Now, let's get building.
Okay, so you just saw me unbox all the contents that you get when you buy an SC6. One thing you're going to notice is that there is no body and there are no wheels. Now, a lot of people make a big deal out of this, but let me just give you my personal opinion. I can respect the people that say, hey, that's not fair, it's so expensive. I get it. But just keep in mind, most people, like say for an SC10, I've never used the stock body. In fact, every time I've bought an SC10 kit over the years, I give away the stock body and I give away the stock wheels. On that particular platform, everybody tends to use the J-Concepts Hazard plus 3mm offset wheels, and people like to use the body that they like. My favorite top 3 bodies are the J-Concepts High Flow Illusion body for a short course truck, the J-Concepts Raptor SVT, part number 0090. There's also a one size fits most, it's part number 0215. And then the Proline Flowtech body. Those are my 3 favorite bodies. So if you ever see me driving a short course truck, you're going to see one of those 3 bodies on my stuff. The other thing is everybody likes different types of wheels. So it's really not a bad thing that the truck doesn't come with a body or wheels. I guess for people that just wanted to practice or a bash body and didn't really care, it would be nice if it came with that stuff. But for me, it just wasn't a drawback. All right, so here we go. You guys can already see that there's an Orion stocky SC. Actually, let's start all the way from the back. This is just one of those inexpensive $32 or $33 Turnigy Trackstar 8.5s. It was brand spanking new when I put it in there. And you can see, well actually here, let me just show you. You can see that I just soldered it up, put a brand new sensor wire in there. If you're wondering why I got this hillbilly wiring job, it's because every time I put a new kit together, and I'm not sure exactly how I want the electronics to be laid out or if I'm gonna go mid-motor, rear motor, I tend to leave everything long. A lot of times I'll zip tie it up out of the way. That way if I wanna change it around and just kind of play around with it until I know what my final electronics position is, I can do that. So that's, if you're wondering why there's this hillbilly rat's nest going on or bird's nest, that's why. So that's the motor. This is an Orion stocky SC. Never owned an Orion before, but this bad Johnny goes all the way down to 5.5 turns, and that's super rare. There are other brands of speed controls that have like lower models, but none of them, for the most part, can go down to 5.5 turns, so I'm pretty stoked about that. It's got an Airtronics receiver that came with my M12 underneath the tray. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I actually used a bunch of like Durango and Team Losi washers right here, and I actually raised the shelf up because I wanted to make more clearance for the actual receiver. The battery is just a Reedy Wolfpack, and that's a Team Associated XP1015 servo. One really cool thing about the Kyosho two-wheel platforms is there's a channel that runs inside this, so you can see the wire for the actual servo goes into the side guard, runs all the way down, and then pops out. Let's see, you can see under here, and then it pops out right there next to the actual receiver. So that's one really, really cool feature. It's really nice to have a clean looking electronics setup. Now, I just took a heat gun and I bent the antenna tube to keep it out of the way. But right here, you see this red shelf. The capacitor for the speed control, there really wasn't anywhere that I wanted to put it where I really felt confident that it would stay and not get knocked off. So I have a 3D desktop printer, so I went ahead and printed myself a little red shelf in Kyosho red and servo taped it both down to the bottom of the rail and to the side of the side guard. And then I went ahead and servo taped the actual capacitor right to the shelf itself. So transponder mounted up over there. And one thing that's kind of a bummer is the servo that actually came with this kit. Now, I don't know if it's the servo or the actual horn, but there's play in between the horn and the servo itself. So this is a 25 spline servo, and this is a 25 spline horn, you know, the Futaba spline basically. And you can see that there's clearly some play in there. So I'm gonna have to look into getting an aluminum servo horn, which is no big deal. It's a good thing. But it's just kind of a bummer that there's a little bit of play in it from the beginning. So that's the electronics package for my Kyosho SC6. Okay, so the build. There's no question that the Kyosho instructions could definitely be better. They have good diagrams, and if you really pay close attention to the illustrations, you'll probably be all right. But there's one thing that you're gonna need to, I shouldn't say you're gonna need it, because they do have one-to-one illustrations of screws and washers and stuff like that. One thing that'll really make your build go better is this. And this is just an inexpensive set of calipers that I bought from my local auto parts store. You can see that these ones just say performance tool or whatever. And this is literally just a $20 digital caliper that I got. And this thing will save your butt so many times. When they call for a specific plastic washer, you know, say 3mm by 7mm by 1mm or whatever, it's just nice to have the caliper just to confirm that you are assembling the vehicle right, that you're not putting the wrong washer in the wrong spot. That way you don't have to take it back apart and reassemble it. That's a pain in the butt. With that said, out of all the vehicles I've ever assembled, very few are super well organized, like in the packaging. So when they're in the factory putting everything together, very, very few kits come with, you know, one bag is one step, and the Kyosho is no exception. You will open a bag and there will be extra parts, and what I do is I just let everything accumulate in like a little pile. It's probably not the most efficient way to do it, but then I use my caliper, or I have like a little ruler with millimeters on it, and I'll just measure everything and make sure that I'm putting the right holes and the right screws. It's just that simple. A couple of things I would change if I were, you know, the boss over there at Kyosho. I really, really like the truck. I like the plastics quality. I like all that stuff. I don't know if you guys will be able to see this or not, but on some of the ball studs and ball cups, like right here, I would put a hole in all those, and instead of using a nut driver to put the ball studs in, I would like it where there's actually a hole in the ball cup, and then like a 2mm hex driver could actually thread the ball stud down in there. That way, when you want to make roll center adjustments or you want to change your camber link lengths, you don't actually have to pop the ball cups off of the actual ball studs in order to do that. Every time you pop a ball cup off of a ball stud, it gets a little bit looser, and it's more likely to pop off in a race, which is really the last thing that you want. Other than that, everything really went together really, really well. The nice thing that I really like about the Kyosho cars are the plastics. They have such good conformation, and what I mean by that is when you're actually threading the screws into like the side rails, on some other brands of RC cars, when you're threading the screw in, you never know when it's really done and tight. It's almost like cheese. It's just so soft. This stuff, as you're threading it in, you just take your time and you can feel right at the end. You can feel right when the screw confirms and says, hey, look, I'm as tight as I need to be. And I really, really like that about the Kyosho products. They just have high quality plastics, and I'm thrilled with it. Another cool thing that I was thrilled with about the build, and I guess this really isn't so much about the build as about what the truck comes with. I was really thrilled that it came with the actual, let's see if you guys can see this stuff. I was thrilled that it came with the metal arms and steering rack. My Kyosho RB6, my buggy, did not come with that stuff, and I think I paid, I want to say $50 or $60 because you buy the arms and then the actual drag link separately, so or the Ackerman bar, whatever they call it. But I was really stoked about that. The pistons had five holes in them. They're 5-hole pistons, and they're just really not the right piston for most of the tracks here in the US. You're going to find that most guys are going to end up probably going to something like a 4-hole by 1.3 piston, or I may even try a 2-hole 1.6 and a 2-hole 1.7, just because it's worked so good on other platforms for me. I'm not saying that it will work on this platform, but I'm going to try it. I kind of wish, in hindsight, because I already have like a Team Associated SC10, in hindsight, if I could have done it again, I would have built this thing mid-motor. When I was club racing this last weekend, there was a mid-motor SC6 there, and that guy was giving me the business in just about every corner, and it just made me kind of regret building it rear motor. I do tend to have a point and shoot style of driving. That's kind of like how I drive. But overall, I'm not disappointed with this truck at all. I definitely think that it was under dampened, and I've got something really heavy in it right now. I think with these 5-hole pistons, I've got like 47.5, and it still feels decent on when you're testing it on the bench. Like, it doesn't feel over or under dampened, but you can see on the track that it still rebounds probably a little faster than it should. So I'm going to go ahead and change the pistons in this thing and get after it. The Kyosho diff, very smooth. Transmission went together really good. The only thing that, I don't want to say I was disappointed, but the only thing that seemed like a little sketch to me is the front shock tower is just really, the front shock tower is just really, really small, and the front shocks are just really, really laid over quite a bit. I know you really probably can't see because the bumper's in the way. I don't know how that's going to affect handling overall, but I may play around with that a little bit. I've heard some rumors of some of the factory drivers playing around, trying to stand the shocks up a little bit more and stuff like that. I don't know that I have that type of skill level where I would need to do that, but you know, who knows? We'll see what happens. So overall for the build, very happy. Plastics were really nice. The aluminum steering rack was cool. Diff went together really well. I don't know what else to tell you. Just pay really close attention to the instructions. Pay close attention to the plastic sizes. Use a caliper, and you'll end up with a really, really good result. So, okay, so that's it for the build. Let's talk about performance. Okay, performance. What do I think? There's no question that the Kyosho stuff, always, this new platform, their latest generation, their latest iteration of buggies, the RB6, now the SC6, the RT6 stadium truck, they all steer. And they steer really well. In fact, a lot of people would tell you that a lot of these kits out of the box steer too much. Now, I tried this buggy with both a shorty all the way forward, a shorty all the way back. I shouldn't say all the way back because I still have the speed control on the shelf and there's a receiver underneath that. So it's not all the way back, but basically here's where the battery's at. And where I have the battery stops, I try to shorty all the way forward. I try to shorty all the way back. And then I tried this full-size pack both forward and back. And at the end of the day, the truck was the fastest and easiest to drive with this full pack, you know, 8 millimeters back from the front. So that's just where it's at. It looks like it's about it's on the third hole behind the servo. In fact, let me just show you this one more time, so if you want to try it, you can. This is where my battery is at. You can see there's the servo and then these two holes, and then I'm in the next one. And this is where I have found this truck to have the best balance for the first day that I went club racing. It wasn't too slidey, but it still had quite a bit of steering. I definitely could have chose better tires, and I'm sure I probably already said that because I've shot a few different versions of this video already. But I should have chose a lower pin tire, which is why the truck is going to look a little pushy in some corners and a little slidey in the back in others, because I just wasn't on the appropriate tire for the surface. You just really never know. I like gold barcodes because they will work on just about any surface. This surface was a little bit damp, so I should have used something like a pressure point. A lot of guys were using Proline ions and AKA typos, and they were just killing it with those. So there's no question that a really low pin tire was a better tire than I had chosen. But either way, the truck still was competitive. It was still easy to drive. It just wasn't as fast as it probably should have been. That's all there is to it. When I first built the kit out of the box with the 5-hole pistons, I don't even remember what I used. I think I used like 3730 or something like that. And the truck just, it didn't land as good as it should, and the front end was bouncing. So I went up to like 42, still a little bit bouncy in the front. So right now I'm at like 47.5 up front with the 5-hole piston. And you can see the truck will land and it's still a little bit bouncy. And I'm pretty much convinced that the 5-hole piston just isn't gonna pack up the way that you would want. So I'm gonna try to go down to probably like a 2-hole 1.6 up front, 2-hole 1.7 in the back. I'm gonna try that. And the reason that I'm going to try that is I've ran that on other platforms, other short course trucks, other stadium trucks, and with the heavier battery, I think that'll just work a little bit better. There is absolutely no question that the truck landed, even with these 5-hole pistons, it landed much, much better with a shorty, but the truck was just too agile. It would slide too soon, and it just wasn't easy to drive with a shorty battery in it. Now, of course, we already know the tire issue, so who knows? If I had changed tires, could have been better, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with the big battery because it slows the truck down. It doesn't let it act so stupid so fast, and it just ultimately makes it easier to drive. And while speed is awesome, consistency wins most of the races, and so that's how I like to do it. So you're probably wondering, how is the durability on this truck? And unfortunately, I gave that a little bit of testing myself. I was actually out there screwing around in practice. I only got about a half a battery in practice, and so I didn't like try to learn the layout. I just sent the truck out there and was getting in it. Just throttle everywhere, brake everywhere, and just mashing on it. And I'll show you this. I hope this comes into focus. I don't know if you can see that big old gouge in the arm right there. But I went ahead and I just sent it in over this little jump where you're kind of jumping in the corner in the back. And I landed right on the tube, and there was a stake right there, like a metal stake, and it just hit the stake and the truck just stopped. I mean, I was like, oh man, 3 laps in and I just broke the front end off of this truck. But it did not break the front end off the truck. It just took a gouge out of the arm and the truck kept going. So I can't say that it's super durable because I haven't run it that much, but I can tell you this, it did take 3 or 4 pretty gnarly hits. One of my buddies was running a short course truck, and we were kind of bumping and banging. And I tried running him off the road, and I jumped the truck right into the wall, screwing around. I mean, when the bumper hit the wall, you know that plastic snapping noise? I was like, oh, that bumper's gone. And as you can see, the bumper's still here, and it's not busted. So unless something broke that I just haven't found yet, I'm pretty impressed so far. So I would say durability, pretty dang good. So what's the conclusion? I'm stoked. I like this truck. It's a very cool truck. I will be converting this one to mid-motor because I think that more often than not, I find myself racing on very smooth, medium to high traction surfaces, and I think mid-motor will be faster, especially after seeing a couple of guys club racing with one that was already set up mid-motor. I'm pretty convinced that it's going to be faster. It would be nice if the actual ball cups had holes in them and the ball studs that came with the kit actually had holes so that you didn't have to put them in with nut drivers. I just think that would make life so much easier when you're trying to change your camber link locations and stuff like that. But one huge benefit nobody seems to be discussing anymore, one of the awesome things about running the SC6 is that if you're already running an RB6, there is so much parts interchangeability. One of the things I loved about my SC10 when I was running the Centro and the B4 are that you really can bring one parts case and there's so much changeover between like steering blocks and hubs and axle parts and transmission parts and, you know, just that kind of thing. Pistons, shock caps, all that stuff. And so if you're running an RB6 and you want to get into running short course, which I think is a great second class, it is super fun. Guys tend to be a little bit less serious, but you can, Rubbin's racing. You can go in there and you can put the fender in there on your buddy or drive him out to the wall or jam it in there close in between the tube. And it just makes for some really fun, maybe a little bit aggressive racing, but I really do think that short course is a super fun class. And if you're thinking about trying it out or want to get back to it and you already have an RB6, I think the SC6 would serve you well. It's a very good truck. It's got the Kyosho quality. And there's tons of parts interchangeability. So I'm pretty stoked about it. I'll be sticking with this truck for a while. And if you guys have any comments or questions, please shoot them my way. And I'll try to respond to you guys either on Facebook or YouTube. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Keep an eye open for some updates, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. So this truck gets here. And I'm like stoked to start building it. I was supposed to have some electronics show up like right behind it, but they didn't show up. So I'm kind of waiting, and I decided to order up some wheels and tires. So I ordered up from Losi Parts House, I ordered up the J Concepts Illusion high flow body, some gold barcodes and some Rulux wheels and all that stuff. And so the stuff gets here, and the box is literally like mangled. It looks like the UPS man just got pissed and gorilla stomped it. In fact, here's a picture. And you can see it's ripped all down the side and whatnot. And the body was just completely mangled. I actually got out my scissors and started cutting out the body. I cut one whole side out before I got to the other side and realized that it was completely crushed. So I called Losi Parts House and they were awesome. I want to say the girl that took care of me, her name was Amanda. She took my name. She said, hey, would you mind sending me a picture? So I just used my phone. I shot a picture. I emailed it to her right there. And she responded literally within a minute or two and said, hey, no worries. We'll have it in the mail for you today. It'll be there in another day or so. So Losi Parts House, thank you so much. I'm stoked at how good the customer service was. But here's something that's pretty crazy. I actually posted a picture of the body that was smashed on Facebook. And dig this. Jason Rona, the owner of J Concepts, commented within just a few minutes and said, hey, do you want me to replace that body for you? And I was like, man, how many owners of RC companies offer that type of support? And so I'm a pretty big JC fan. J Concepts makes some cool products, cool bodies. I run a lot of their tires, but I was just really impressed that Jason Rona himself is actually on Facebook and with the quickness offered to replace a body that he himself didn't even sell me. I bought that body from Losi Parts House. So either way, I told him, hey, thanks, Jay, I appreciate it, but Losi Parts House already has me taken care of. So I just want to say thank you both to Losi Parts House for taking care of me, and thank you to Jason Rona and J Concepts, because that's pretty amazing customer service. And I know that I'm pretty fortunate. I get to see Jay and a lot of these guys, the pros and stuff, at a lot of these races. It's nice to see the owner of an RC company out here actively involved with the community, not only in the racing community, but even just guys like me, just YouTubers and club racers and stuff like that. It's very cool. So just a little side story I thought you guys would get a kick out of.
Guys, on the south of the dome. Alright, nice and smooth, open, short course.
I think it's real smooth.
Running. Nice and clean, try to reserve those actions, keep it clean out there, change it on the inside of Tyler. So we're saying with Mason trying to step her in there, keep it nice and clean. Good start, guys, good start. So Mason diving on the inside, Tyler trying to shut him down. Too much for Tyler. Trying to hold it around Mason, trying to get on the outside, not going to work there. Go ahead, Mason, thank you. Good sportsmanship coming from Mason Templeman. Still trying to work his way up to the lead, but right now it is Snyder from B-Field. You're going to hear a lot of that tonight, guys.
Yeah, you will.
Coming out
From Bakersfield.
But right now, Snyder keeping it down in the Kyosho, chasing along in second with the Kyosho also. Then we got Tyler and Mason, the battle for third. Mason looking for an inside little hard. Go, 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 go. Thank you, thank you. 4 minutes left, drivers. 1 down, 4 to go.
That's 110% clinic for a week.
Snyder, oh, it's season a little too much for the short course. Oh, Mason getting in the back of Tyler once again. Oh, look out.
Oh, Marshall fell.
Tyler with the bottle also. Mason getting it right there. So the battle for Young Guns.
Marshall
Still
fell.
continuing. Oh, Tyler going way out of line. Gonna give Mason the 3rd spot. But right now, the battle for the lead, Snyder and DeLong with 3:30 to go. That's the battle for the TQ. 18.510 or 18.509. So Jason 7 cents off of Snyder. Oh, Mason said hello to the chair. Put that back on the right side. Jason with the bobble. That's gonna allow Tyler Shea to catch back up to Mason. Oh, Jason into the pit there. That's going to allow Mason to catch up to 2nd. Oh, Mason with a mistake. That's going to allow Tyler to catch back up. So a nice 3-way battle here. Whoa, on the gas. But Snyder keeping it nice and smooth on 18.508 right now. For Snyder, the all-white Kyosho, black rims. Out front, followed by the battle for 2nd. Down the straightaway right now. 2:45 to go, drivers. 2:45 to go. Fast lap 16.5 coming from Mr. Jason DeLong. Mason on the inside of Tyler, still keeping it right there. A good run for Tyler Shea, still on that lead lap, battling with the big one. With 2:20 to go, drivers, 2:20 to go. Oh, Mason into the pit again. Tyler Shea trying to find a way on the inside. Ooh, way on the inside. Gonna take over that spot. 2 minutes remaining, drivers. 2 minutes remaining. Good battle for the Young Guns. Up on the inside, Mason trying to find a way around. It's gonna come down to the motor and into the sweeper. Looking for the inside. Mason taking it back over Tyler in the same corner last lap. With 1:40 to go, drivers. 1:40 to go. So remember, guys, be nice to your leaders. Tyler Shea, you got your leader coming up on you in a little bit. Please give him room to work on that TQ run. Fast lap, new fast lap from Racing Mason, a 16.0. Trying to catch back up to Jason DeLong now. Here they are down the straightaway. Jason running the borrowed sponsored car from Kara Tompkins. The red and white versus the red, white, and blue. A little bit of silver. 1:10 to go, drivers coming up to that minute mark. Jason moving on the pipe. Here comes Mason trying to take that pass to the 2 spot and get himself up to 2nd. But right now, Snyder keeping it nice and smooth. Oh, Jason battle on the pipe. Mason with the same mistake. That's going to make it nice and close here. This one's going to come down to the wire with 45 seconds left. Race number 3, Expert Stock Buggy. Coming up next, Okie Dokie, Steve Godwin, the deal, Eric, David, Leland, Scott, and Kevin. You guys are coming up next, drivers. So Mason only 1.4 away from DeLong with 25 seconds left. Trying to get it there and try and make a move. Oh, too many little bobbles. Gonna keep him away from Jason. 10 seconds left, drivers. 10 seconds. Mason, that's your leader on you. Give him some room when it comes down to time. That is time on the master clock. Jason with a little wobble, but he is done. Mason, you're done. Snyder.
Hey, by the way, before you leave, I just want to say thanks again for watching my videos. I only make these videos so that we can have fun together. By the way, you'd be doing me a big favor if you could either comment, like, or even better, subscribe to my channel. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.